Hello Internet, this is Geeks and I'm here to talk to you about the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Now you may have seen some of my previous videos where I pretty much share my ideas and my thoughts on the teasers that Bethesda put out. Now I say teasers, but really it's just one teaser, but one of them is like extended where they included gameplay videos. No critique there, but anyways, if you want to know what I thought about them, go check in my history in my on my channel, and you'll see the videos. And I talked for about like 3 hours or something like that, maybe a little bit less, if you count. Like I think there's 3 videos, the original teaser, and then part 1 and 2, where I even add some of my thoughts on how I think the game will be like based on the footage that we received, and also share my ideas and my thoughts on where Bethesda is focusing on which areas in the game they're focusing on, and which area they should be focusing on. And since then came QuakeCon, and then kind of like what they did with Oblivion in 2003 at E3, Bethesda Softworks kind of released a more in-depth demo of the game where they show more about the game, but it's really like, I was going to say scripted. Well, Todd Howard kind of speaks in a very scripted manner. I mean, he has to talk about the game to different publishers and stuff like that. And it's shorter than what I remember the Oblivion E3 demo to be, but you know, it's still jam-packed with information. Maybe not necessarily information that Todd Howard gave verbally, but visually there's a lot of stuff that we can pick up. So yeah, now see, since then, since QuakeCon, like I've been receiving a lot of requests to do this video. So here I am. That's basically the reason I'm doing it, because I didn't think people would want to listen to me again about just babbling about Skyrim, but here we are. And now, if you feel that I'm kind of avoiding a subject, or like I forgot to mention something, it's probably because I've already talked about it in my previous videos, or I think I already talked about it in my previous videos, like I already covered it. And the trick here, the challenge for me right now, is to talk about the game without repeating myself. So yeah, I think that covers it. So without further ado, let's dive right in. We're going to start right at the beginning. Todd Howard talks about like the graphics, and from the get-go he mentions that this is Xbox 360 graphics. And indeed, if you go to the website, you can see some screenshots, and you'll see the difference is huge. I mean, what you're looking at is standard definition right now, but the HD footage still looks like the texture still looks kind of blurry. But on the website, the textures on the screenshots are super crisp. Now, will they be releasing the PC game this way? Most likely yes, but there might be a change here and there. But the way I see it, kind of like the difference between Oblivion and Fallout 3 is that Oblivion only had 3 sets of texture quality, low, medium, and high, and in Fallout 3 there's like all the way to very high, or even ultra, I think. Like I might be mixing my games here and there, but there's a lot more a level of detail. So will those texture files be included as we see them in the screenshots? Maybe not, but it'll be way up there, I'm thinking. That's my forecast in any case. So yeah, I mean, it looks great. The first thing I noticed was the colors, basically, because unlike Oblivion was very saturated with colors. A lot of bright greens or bright yellows and browns, and a little bit of gray here, but it's like the colors, which is awesome. But it felt, for the lack of a better word, it felt artificial. Now, this is obviously artificial, but I kind of like the gradient between, like, especially like in the first few frames, right about here. It goes from a white palette, white and gray, then it goes to like a greenish white, Like we're about this height right now. And then you go to a green and brown, and then it goes to a blue, and then the sky. So I think they nailed it this time, especially with the trees. Now they do pine trees, and pine trees are a lot easier to do in 3D. Whenever or not they're using speed tree for the trees, I don't know, and frankly, I don't care so long as it works. But I really like the fact that this tree here, it's kind of hard to tell. Like I'm trying to get rid of this interface, but like I know I'm clicking, but whatever. I'm gonna put it right here. Um, it's crooked, right? And some of them aren't built the same way. Like this one has like missing branches at the bottom, like taller, and you'll see a nice variety of like that. And there's like bushes, and some bushes have more leaves, and like this tree. Look at that one. Like it's just one tree trunk, and then poof, you know. And look at these. Like this is a perfect example of what I've been noticing like on the first go. And again, the colors, like you see a lot more oranges, like warm colors, in contrast. Well, it's not really contrast, but it's like right next to like the gray colors, trying to punch up more. It is a contrast, like from dead to so it's really nice. I like the fact that there's shadow casted on the. It's not like well, it's still shadows, but I like the fact that there's shadows not only on the trees, but like on the bushes and on the rocks and all that stuff. And they really focused on the micro detail this time. I mean, I know Bethesda Softworks put a lot of attention into the environments and like props and stuff like that. So you have a desk and it'll be filled with items on top, like let's say put a jar, and then they'll put like two sheets of paper and an inkwell, and a crystal orb. And they did that with the environments as well. Like they put like mushrooms, even mushrooms you can't loot. Um, they'll put a variety of plants and rocks and stuff like that. But here, like you know, like even on I'm pointing like that, but I'll point with my cursor. It's a lot more practical. Like micro details, you have branches on the tree trunk, which we didn't have that in Oblivion. So it was that there in Fallout 3? I'm pretty sure it was, because the engine is very similar, and by that I mean they're using the same game engine, but they're not using the same graphics engine, and there is a nuance between the two. So I think Todd Howard even mentions that in one of the interviews. But again, look at that shot. It's there's a little bit of gray, and then it goes brown, white, blue, green, orange. It's a nice variety of, and you'll be hearing me saying that word a lot, variety. Variety. There you go. I have a hard time pronouncing that word, but anyways, it's awesome, right? And again, well, again, I'm noticing like in the background, like the mountains, unlike Oblivion, and there's not that many in Fallout 3, but the mountains are more sharp. They look more aggressive, and they're more mountainous, and they're like they look like mountains that you can most likely walk to, because we can see in the distance right here, like the dungeon that we're going to go to in later in the demo, and most likely in game once we get to play it. But anyways, so I like that. So they put a lot more polygons in the background, although that could have been a projected texture as well. And by that I mean level of detail, kind of like what the Guild Wars did, like the original Guild Wars, where in the background it's a picture, and then as you move closer and closer and closer, pop, it becomes a 3D model, and then it's more detailed. So they could have used that kind of technology. I don't think they did, because Bethesda kind of focuses on just putting more stuff on screen. So that's probably most likely like a 3D model in the background. It's still level detailed. Like it's probably like I don't know. I was gonna say 1,000 polygons, but that's probably too generous for the background. But it's probably way up there normally. And pause again. Micro details. There's like some roots that are sticking out of the cliff face of the rocks. Not on all of them, but that's the fine little details that I find like really really cool. Um, and the only thing that I'm really looking for in this video, and you kind of see it there, is I'm trying to see how they've done the rock faces. Not just the rocks, but the one, like in Oblivion, you'll have like they have the geometry for the terrain, and then just to add like on the side of the road, like this one, they'll add like an object that's just like a rock face, and they'll have like grass on top. And if anybody worked with a game engine before, they know that different objects that have different ID types, like they're static, dynamic, and etc. It goes on and on and on based on um, the game engine. They light up differently. And in Oblivion, you can easily see that where it's not as obvious when you have like just a barrel or a rock, but when you have like grass on top of a rock and it's supposed to seamlessly go from the object to the terrain, you can't really see it because it's covered with grass, but and trees and all that crap. But you notice the seam, and it's one of the things that always bothered me while playing Oblivion, and I'm desperately hoping to see some clues here in Skyrim. And you can see like there's mushrooms on the trees. Now that's not something that we didn't see before in Oblivion, or even like in Elder Scrolls. Like I'm talking Morrowind here, but there's more colors. So this is really cool. I like this. And here we see the armor, and we're all thinking the same thing. It's one object. Oh my god. And one object, I mean like it's one item. It's kind of like in Fallout 3. It's just like you put a suit on and pff, voila. Or the robes in Oblivion. Is that a good thing, a bad thing? What do I think about it? Okay, here's the deal. That's not really a deal, but here's what I think. For an RPG, I kind of miss the fact that, especially while I'm playing Morrowind now, or hopefully I will too soon, anyways, where you can like mix match armor pieces. I like being able to put just one glove, not just two. I like being able to put a shirt underneath like armor. Everybody loves to do that. Nobody says, "Oh no, we don't want to do that in Oblivion." "Oh no, we don't want to do that you know, in any of their games, even if it's available." Like we'll put stuff on and we'll mix match stuff, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad that they're doing. It's not. It's not the fact that they're doing it. It's the fact why they're doing it, and they're doing it for the animation system. They're doing it for a consistent look throughout the character. It's a design thing, which by design I mean not gameplay, but although it does affect gameplay, but I'm talking visual design here. They don't want you to look like a clown, basically. And I'm thinking right now of World of Warcraft off the top of my head. They really want the armor to look good, and that your character will look good while moving with it. At first, I thought it was like a BS type of thing, because really, it's technically feasible to do it in separate pieces anyways, but now that I think about it, with the amount of detail that they put in the game and the amount of characters that will be in the game, to be able to rig each part correctly to animate fluently, that's a lot of bones. So, and by bones, it's a joint that the character artist will animate to make like cloth move and stuff like that. Cloth is animated through bones. Kind of like what I'm doing with my fingers, like their bones are, moving up my flesh, or in this case, a 3D mesh. And that's a lot of information per character on the screen. So I can understand the technical limitation here. But really, from a design perspective, from a visuals perspective, I mean, there's only one thing I care about, and that is the look of my armor. And by that, I want to be a little bit more precise and elaborate, is the fact that I want. Here's a problem I had with Oblivion. There weren't that many armor sets. Is there going to be more armor sets in Skyrim? I'm hoping, but here's the thing: when I'm playing a thief, I really love to wear the um, the the leather armor, the standard leather armor. It's like very. It fits the characters that I normally play. Like I'm not one to go into combat, but at the same time, my character feels protected with it, and it looks like. And this is the thing that Bethesda is really good at: is that their armor sets look like they do their job. They protect the character that's wearing it. And so I really like that armor set, but it's hard to find that look later on in the game because while you're like in your 20s and maybe your 30s, I never went to the 40s. I think the highest level character I ever had was like in the 30s, but those sets were getting rare and rare because you had like chainmail, really, and then you got like freaking glass armor, mithril, I think, like the elven type of armor. Like, what is mithril? No, I think mithril is in heavy, but whatever. It's like very. Like, I don't wear that stuff. That's basically why I don't know them by heart, really. Like, it's. They don't fit. Like, chainmail? Really? Like, I want to wear, like, the badass stuff, and for me, that's like street clothing. Well, not really street clothing, but it's like. It looks like I've been living with it. And I don't get that feeling with the chainmail and the glass armor. Uh, it looks better. Like I've seen some images of glass armor in Morrowind, and that looks a lot better than what they have in Oblivion. So maybe it's just a design thing. But the one thing I care about is doesn't matter if it's a one piece thing because I tend to wear the same set anyways. The armor has to look cool, and of course that's subjective. But I need browns. There's browns right there. So am I happy? Yes. Am I only going to wear that thing? Probably not. But you get the idea. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the one piece thing. Um, and yeah, the animation looks great. I love the transitions. So it's a lot better than any of the other Elder Scrolls. So what can I say about that? It's like top notch. Um, Now about this point in the video, like I was watching it, and every time at this point I'm looking at it, it's like something's wrong, and I'm looking at the minimap. This is where I noticed the minimap, and I don't know if it's the right spot. Like I'm not going to criticize it, but it feels odd there. So it'll probably take a while to play the game to get maybe used to it. Um, but I don't know. So excuse me. I think center. I think it's okay, but I guess I'm used to the bottom type side. Heck, in Oblivion, he was on the bottom left side, so who knows? So I find it odd there, and I find it a little bit intrusive. So maybe there's I'm hoping for an option to disable that. Um, so yeah. And then we're going in combat, I think. Oh no, he's just swinging a sword. Okay, animation is great. I already talked about that. And then there's a fox chasing. I think it was like I saw a second animal. Oh, great. Fast forward. Swing, swing. What is it? Is it still in fast forward? What is it? I never actually took the time to slow down. There is a bird there. That looks like a bird. No. It's a bunny. Yeah, it's a little tiny bunny. Hop, hop. Hop. Do we see it some more? No. So that's kind of cool. What am I thinking about that? Animals. You know? Like in my previous videos I said, like, give me some birds. And I'm still looking for some birds. But seeing more variety in variety. There's that word again. With the animals and wildlife, I think, and I know that Todd Howard mentioned that they put a lot of focus on the daily lives of the animals. Like there's a reason for that fox to be there, the little bunny. So yeah, I'm happy about that. And first person, kick ass, yes. Yeah, you can't see much with the shield. And here I was looking again at the cliffside, and I can almost tell. Like I could be wrong, but this is probably like the discussion earlier, like where I'm talking about like there's an object to create the illusion of a cliffside, to not have to craft that directly into the terrain because that's a lot of polygons. So you got like one object smooth and the other one object that kind of adds the detail in. I think this is what's happening here, but we're looking at it from the like for you guys like you know, um, and like I was looking for the seam. I mentioned earlier the seam, and I can't find it. Like it is kind of here, but it's pretty much covered, so I don't notice the difference. Like because it's covered by like another rock and trees and stuff like that. So I think they did a good job hiding. If they couldn't get rid of the seam, at least they covered it up. And I'm hoping that all the areas are like that, because the more they cover it up, the less obvious it is to me, and the more happy I am. Yeah. So, oh my god, I got something to say about that. I'll mention it later on. Um, that's kind of cool, like the spell thing. Everybody knew about that. Like they mentioned it before. Um, that's a nice view. Not the spell. I'm not looking at the spell. Don't look at the spell. Come on, here. I'm looking at the environments here, and I love the scenery. I can't wait to see it like with the sound. See it with the sound. See what I'm getting at? We get a lot of trees here, and there's a lot of variety of them. Like there's some small, some tall, some big, some crooked, some skinny and stuff like that. And it's all over the place. And you got some water, and then there's a little cliffside here, like a little mountain peak, and then there's more mountains. And I love how they did like the fog. Um, I actually like a game better with fog than without. It's kind of weird that way. It's not like I know some people don't like to play Morrowind with like the draw distance like modded with the graphics extender because it removes a sense of exploration or discovery. In my case, it's more like visual flair. I kind of prefer to see. I want to see the object, but I don't want to see necessarily the detail of it. I just want to see the silhouette. It's kind of like an illustration of it, and I like that. Again, colors. You got some blues, you got some browns, grays. Obviously, there's always going to be gray in our games these days. But look how like it's like wrapping up the colors. Like the green is going around this rock. It's like logical in the sense that that's how nature would work anyways. Like the grass would, kind of grow around a settled rock. But that's what it makes it so cool, right? They spend so much detail on the micro detail that they know how nature works, basically. That's what I'm getting at. They're no scientists. Well, it's technical, yes, but they make it look good. And that's what we want. Now, as far as the Guardian Stones, that kind of confused me because I know what it is, like in the sense that like, it's a passive buff that you activate, and I'm hoping that the ones that I'm hoping that there's more than just the mage, the warrior, and the thief. Um, because I'm hoping that there's like at least one of each constellation, and they're kind of like mixed matched. So even if like there's I don't know how many constellations there are, probably like 9. Like the 9 divines and stuff. How many classes are there? But anyways, like maybe there's more throughout the world, but they kind of mix. Like the next one will be mage, pilgrim, and battlemaster or blade master or whatever. Um, but at the same time, I don't want them to be too covered like in the areas, because I don't want it to be like, oh, okay, I'm going in a dungeon. Let's punch up the warrior buffs because I feel like dungeon crawling today. Like I don't want that to happen in my game. Of course, if it does happen in my game, I'm just not going to do it because it's a single player game. You can do whatever you want, but like I'm hoping that there's not going to be that kind of thing going on there where you just switch it on and off whenever you go. And here, I want to bring to attention. I think that's no, never mind. I thought it was a butterfly, but and I love the cliff's face right here. That's a nice shot. But there's not steam, but spray. I'm trying to back it up here. There's water spraying right there, and I think that's really cool. Really cool, and I love the tiny little rocks here that makes more detail. It's probably like the same geometry that they just like instance and rotate to make it look different, just from an angles perspective. But who cares? I'm looking at the spray, you know. Because for me, I guess that's what it is. It doesn't matter, although it does help if all the trees are different. But I want to see more trees. Like I want to see more stuff. It didn't matter for me, like to play the game. Let's say for an example of Oblivion, for me, it didn't matter if I could play the game in low resolution textures and all blurry crap if I could see very far away. It's kind of counterintuitive here because I mentioned that I kind of like the fog of war thing, but I'm saying like I want to see grass super far away. I want to see shadows super far away. There'll be a low quality grass and low quality shadows, but I want to see details even though they're not crisp. If that makes sense, it's like I'm looking for the macro instead of the micro. And we got both in this one, so I'm babbling at this point. I'm rambling because I don't think I make much sense, but I hope you understand. Combat here, that's kind of cool. I'm not too sure about the fur, but we saw a screenshot of a dog on the website, and it's all right. Like I can't really complain. Dog's face kind of looks weird. What's a wolf? But I'm kind of glad that they're not doing the same animation that they did in. Ooh, nasty. They're not doing the same animation where they just like try to bite in the air and they shake their heads in Oblivion. That kind of annoyed me. But the first time I watched the video, like, oh my god, it's jumping at me, is first time I watched this video, what I noticed, because the compass, thank you, I was gonna, whoever suggested it, yes, thank you, compass, it's kind of like obvious in my face kind of thing, and I noticed like the little red dot here, so it's kind of like in Fallout 3 where you can spot like your enemies. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if it's like, do we have stats? Like we don't have stats. Like we don't put points in anything. But I'm wondering if the stats are still there under the hood, where we do have like a perception, and maybe it gets better over time if we're using spells that like associate with illusion, for example. Like maybe our sense of perception increases so we can see the dot further away, you know. I'm wondering about that, which, you know. And then you kind of notice, like I'm trying to think of how far do you see, because I went out too far back. Because you see the wolf here, but you don't see in the minimap or the compass. And then up, this is kind of close. Like, thank you, game. I need to be facing the dude for it to like to give me the blip, and it's like right in my face, kind of thing. So right now, the little blip is kind of cool because it makes me think, but of what could happen in the game. but like the way it is presented right now, it's kind of useless. Bang, bang, bite me. Okay, and then he goes black. And is it me or that dog just got his face knocked out? Because he charged and then he's like stunned. Like he doesn't feel too good the way I see it. Because he goes bonk and then he's like, oh crap. And then. But maybe that's just me. Now, special moves, they're special moves. That I'm not too excited about. I don't really care. See, here's an example. I see the guy, he's a thief. I see a health bar, but I don't see a little blip. Where is he? I can't see him with the shield. Ah, there's a blip. I can just imagine you block with your shield. You find like the biggest shield possible to block all the arrows, and you just move around and you look for that blip and you follow it once you find it to get closer and closer and closer, and then you bash them. I think that would be a pretty weird problem to have in the game. But and then one hand increased to 21. Really, with the freaking taskbar as well. This is something that really bothers me is the presentation of the game as far as the interface goes. I think it's kind of subpar. It has a clean look, yes, it's good in that regard, but it's in my face. I know they kind of it's neat that they kind of remove the bars and they disappear and all that stuff based on context. That's cool. It's smart, but I don't need to know that my one-handed increased to 21. It's in my face. Like in Oblivion, it was in the corner. Did it do that in Morrowind? I don't remember how it did in Morrowind. It's probably the same way. Like, oh, I remember that noise. So, and there's a taskbar. Like, I don't need to know that it's at level 34. That I'm disappointed. I really like. I'm hoping two things here. Either I get used to it, and I'm hoping I get used to it fast, or I have a way to turn it off, or they change it before release. That's kind of cool, freezing the guy up, and then that I want to do with a dagger. That's awesome. But yeah, like the compass and the skill up thing, I'm not too. For me, that's a thumbs down. Pretty much everything else so far has been a thumbs up. Clean your sword first, man. Jeez. Okay, and